by Tampa. On 2nd and 15, this one's picked. Back the other.
The National Football League, NFL, has some of the strongest and fastest football players in the world. Not only are they paid heftily for the value they bring to their team, but are also recognized and appreciated by the general public. However, with that, there comes a drive to do more, which often leads to some major rule breaking. So today, we have for you the players that completely broke the rules and guidelines set by the NFL. Odell Beckham Jr. Known for his astonishing catching skills, Odell Beckham Jr. plays for the Cleveland Browns. However, despite how much of a world-class player he was, he violated an NFL rule in 2014 that led to eyebrows being roused over his entire career. But what did he do that was so bad? During a game, it was found out that Odell Beckham Jr. had used sticky gloves to make a catch that, without them, would have been quite impossible to make, resulting in everyone taking notice of him and his sticky gloves. This moment took place in a game between the Giants and the Cowboys at the MetLife Stadium when Odell caught an unbelievably deep catch with just 2 of his fingers. Of course, this is rather impossible without using sticky gloves, which gives the player an unfair advantage as it provides extra grip to catch the ball, making it banned in NFL games. So even though the ball came from a long distance, Odell was able to reach back and get a hold of it thanks to its sticky gloves. Football fans and other players were quite dazed when it happened. But after the game, MIT Sports Lab was able to give a detailed analysis of the components of these gloves. The report said Odell's gloves were coated with a polymer that is supposed to be 20% more stickier than human hands. So although the polymer-covered gloves helped Odell make the one-handed catch, they are still illegal as stated in the NFL League's uniform code that adhesive or slippery substances on the body, equipment, or uniform of any player are illegal. It also mentions that players may wear gloves with a tackified surface if such tacky substance does not adhere to the football or otherwise cause handling problems for players. Of course, this was not the case with Odell, who, when faced with the accusation, claimed that catching the ball with one hand had become a lifestyle for him. In his own words, "It's been something I've been doing since college. We would every day go out and catch a ball. One hand, every day, in practice, we try to catch with one hand." Unfortunately, Odell is not the only player charged with this violation. The next year, after Odell was accused of using polymer-coated gloves, we witnessed the same thing at the college level as well, when one Penn State receiver managed to catch the ball single-handedly on an Ohio State defender. And that's not the only rule Odell Beckham Jr. has broken. Definitely one rebellious rule breaker, Odell's violation with the sticky gloves was not the first time he had gone against the guidelines. He was fined $14,000 for not wearing pants that cover the knees, and shortly after he was traded from the Giants to the Cleveland Browns, Odell was put on blast for wearing a watch when playing for the NFL. On several occasions, the NFL player had been spotted sporting a Richard Mille watch that had reportedly cost him $350,000 during warm-up sessions and games. Of course, this was prohibited among teammates in the NFL guidelines, and Odell ended up breaking another rule. He soon became the only NFL player to wear such expensive equipment during the games. Warren Sapp, a defensive tackle, could not help but make his own joke about the situation. He was quoted as saying, "You can't wear a $350,000 watch and play like a $2 bill." Giving a clap back to Warren's comment, Odell replied saying, "If it's not this, it's something else. If it wasn't the watch, it would have been the way I tied my shoes." But despite playing the victim, Odell was fined heavily for breaking this rule. However, that seemed to do no good as he was once again seen wearing the watch 2 weeks later in a game. It was only after some time that he decided to comply and left the watch back in the locker room. Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown has a pretty sad story when it comes to his career. From being one of the most sought-after wide receivers of his time to being jobless and looking for any kind of opportunity he could get his hands on, Antonio Brown has had quite a contentious NFL career. His offense had always been costly, but in the end, it ended up costing him his career. Here is what transpired that made him go from one of the greatest to being jobless. When the NFL decided to change the way they designed their helmets so that they could try and curb concussions on the field, Brown thought it would be a good idea to get his message across the NFL officials and his own team that he will be using his own helmet in the games. That would have still been fine had he not added that their opinion does not matter to him and he will not be taking no for an answer. After this new rule was made, all the other players obliged and quickly adjusted to the new helmet. However, Antonio claimed that the new helmets block his view, which is why he will not be wearing them. Instead, will be using his own helmet as he refused to adjust to the change. He even went as far as to tweet out and search for a Shoot Air Advantage adult large helmet that was manufactured in 2010 or after. He offered anyone who could get him the helmet a signed practice-worn Raiders helmet. Of course, his uncompromising and stubborn attitude was not going to fly much longer, resulting in the Raiders dropping him for lack of teamwork from his side and questioning his need to be different from everyone. Even though he was soon picked up by the Patriots, they also had to deal with making the tough decision of letting Antonio off the team only a short while after picking him up. Antonio Brown is a good example of how nothing good can come from breaking the rules. Los Angeles Chargers. Even though Los Angeles Chargers have a pretty good record for strict adherence to NFL rules, they still have one widely known flaw. In 2012, the Los Angeles Chargers faced the Broncos in a game where they did something that completely tarnished the image of their brand. But it wasn't anything like failing to comply with new rules. No, what they did was revealed after the game was over, when the players of the Los Angeles Chargers refused to hand in their towels. Little did we know, they were actually hiding a crime. After much back and forth, they finally did turn their towels in, only for the referees to find stickum on them. The stickum is a tar-like substance that is banned from the NFL games because of the unfair advantage they give to the players. What stickum basically does is make the glove sticky, giving receivers an edge when making passes at one another, as it helps them hold on to the ball that much easier. Because of this, the team was fined with a charge of about $20,000 for using stickum and refusing to hand over their towels immediately. The Los Angeles Chargers were enraged and made an appeal that their staff member did not know about the stickum. Could this just have been a simple mix-up? The appeal did not stand for much though, and the staff member who attempted to hide the towels ended up being fired. New England Patriots. Despite becoming one of the most dominating teams throughout the NFL, the New England Patriots have still had their fair share of public debate. If you're an NFL fan, you might remember this infamous controversy from 2007 when the New England Patriots came under fire after reports came out that Bill had instructed the staff member to film the Jets' defensive signals from an on-field location. Of course, the officials sprung to action as this was a major violation in the NFL rules. They took the camera that was used to film the game and the Jets, and as a result of the violation, Bill Belichick was charged and forced to report to the NFL security. If you still don't realize how huge this crime was, you might deduce something from the $500,000 fine Bill had to pay for the scene he had created. It was the largest fine that had ever been given out in the history of the NFL. And that's not all. The New England Patriots were also made to pay a fine of $250,000 and were also deprived of their first-round draft selection in the then upcoming draft. Bill ended up releasing a statement apologizing to those who were affected by his actions. And that's a wrap on NFL players that completely broke the rules. What do you think about the relevant question to the video? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.